Hey guys, it's time once again for another retro review. This is a series where I review all the Coliseum videos, and I tell you at the end if I think you should get them or not. Now, of course, with modern technology these days, VHS no longer exists, and Coliseum Video and WWF don't work anymore. However, the best way you can find these videotapes is through eBay and Amazon.com, just to name a few. Well, we had a tie in the voting, so this is the tiebreaker, and since this is Mother's Day, this is the Mother's Day edition of the Retro Review, I thought I'd go with, well, it came down to two choices, basically, and so I get to make the final choice, and the video that I chose to review, the best of the WWF Volume 8. The video is hosted by Mean Gene Okerlund, and we get a bunch of action. Pretty much everything on this tape is a match of some type, even some that are clipped. But let me just get right into the review. The opening match on the tape is the Hart Foundation against the Killer Bees. They show the entire match. It is like 15 minutes, almost 20 minutes long. Holy crap, was this a very good tag team match to watch. Early on, the Bees got the advantage on Jim Neidhart, and then, the Hart Foundation would get an advantage. And at one point in this match, Bret Hart does an elbow, or attempts an elbow from the second rope. He does that side elbow. But when he jumps, he slips on that middle rope. And it just looked so bad, I was thinking, well, that could have been in Botchamania. So, Matthew, if you're watching this, look up Hart Foundation Killer Bees, Madison Square Garden. You'll get that botch. But this was just a great tag team match. A lot of near falls, a lot of, drama in this match. And the match ends in a time limit draw, but it was still a very good tag team match that everybody should watch. Even if it's like on one of the Bret Hart DVDs, watch it. So now we go into, well, this is a segment in a way, but it's throughout the videotape. And what this segment is, it's a compilation of some of the newcomers in the World Wrestling Federation at this point in time. And I love how Gene Okerlund is like, you will have this videotape, and one day you can look back on this videotape and see how the future superstars got their beginnings. Boy, wait till you hear what we go through. So the first look is on Dan Spivey, and in this encounter he takes on Terry Gibbs. Yeah, newcomer. Especially when most of the match that you show is Dan Spivey getting beaten up by Terry Gibbs. Yes. But eventually Dan Spivey does make a comeback, and he hits him with the Hulk Hogan leg drop, and I'm like, oh my god, he's going to put him away with the Hogan leg drop. But he only gets a 2 count on that, and he eventually does beat Terry Gibbs to get the victory. So the next person is Billy Jack Haynes. Now this is a very interesting one because apparently Billy Jack Haynes had come to the WWF in 1984, but had said that he, after a little bit, he was not mentally ready yet, so he went away for a little bit, got some more time. Now, in this encounter that they show, he is up against Moondog Rex. And this is better than the Dan Spivey clip, trust me. But it's so weird because in this clip, they show Billy Jack Haynes giving Moondog Rex a clothesline. And then as Rex gets up, Moondog Rex is busted open. from a clothesline. Must have been a hell of a clothesline, but anyway, Billy Jack Haynes eventually in the end locks in the full Nelson, gets the win. Now the next match, so we leave the newcomer segment. We'll get back to that momentarily. The next match is the Junkyard Dog against King Kong Bundy. This is an entertaining match. I'm not going to say it was good, it was great. It was an entertaining match. Basically, you had one of the top heels at the time and one of the top baby faces going at each other. And it was a fun match to watch. But the ending for me sort of ruined or left a bad taste in my mouth. Not of what they did, but what the cameramen did. So, Junkyard Dog is getting a comeback on King Kong Bundy. As Dog runs to the rope, Bobby Heenan trips Junkyard Dog from outside. The camera was not in angle in position to catch Bobby Heenan pulling the leg. That's why I felt so bad. It left a bad taste. So the referee does see Heenan pulling the leg, calls for the bell. The Junkyard Dog gets the win by disqualification. But it's still the fact that whoever was working the cameras, did not get an angle or a shot of Bobby Heenan pulling Junkyard Dog down. So after the match, Bundy and Heenan attack Dog. Bundy tries for the avalanche, but Junkyard Dog pulls Heenan in front of him, and Junkyard Dog attacks all of them, and they leave. So now we continue with our newcomer segment, and this time around, it's Jimmy Jack Funk, as he takes on Tony Garea. Now, this is clipped here as well, but it's in a good way. I'm not saying it was bad, but, it was done well, and Jimmy Jack Funk got the win over Tony Garea. Basically, everybody in this newcomer segment is going to get the win. So now we go to Harley Race. I know what you're thinking. Harley Race is technically not a newcomer, but to the WWF, he was. So here he faces Leaping Lanny Poffo, and this is just all Harley Race. I mean, suplexes, headbutts, he even hits a brain buster on the concrete floor onto Poffo, which looked really good. Poffo does make a bit of a comeback, but Harley Race finishes him off with a fisherman's suplex to get the 3 count in the victory. So now we go to a TV match. Big John Studd against Jim Powers and Rick Hunter. Now, this is at the time where John Studd is putting up $15,000 for anyone who can body slam Big John Studd. Well, before the match begins, out comes King Tonga. And I'm sure some of you are wondering, who is King Tonga? Well, he would later come out to be Haku. So Tonga comes out and said that he wants a chance to body slam Big John Studd. Well, Studd said that these two, meaning Jim Powers and Rick Hunter, were the first two that wanted it, so it's 2 a night, and King Tonga's going to have to wait. So we get our match. Rick Hunter attempts the body slam, but can't get it. Jim Powers attempts the body slam, but can't get it. Both men try to slam him together, can't get it. And Big John Studd beats him 1, 2, 3. After the match, King Tonga runs out to the ring, attacks John Studd, picks him up, and body slams him for $15,000 in the middle of the ring. But of course, if you're a fan of the 80s like I am, nobody really got the $15,000 because Bobby Heenan just won't give it to them. So now we go to the match, King Tonga against John Studd. It's more of what happens after the match that makes this great. It's just basically 2 guys fighting each other in the ring, really not an offensive match. They both go to the outside, and it ends in a double countout. Now, like I said, this is where it gets really good. Because these two men, they're fighting each other. They're punching each other. And Bobby Heenan's trying to get John Studd away, but John Studd will not move. So John Studd, he backs up a little bit down the aisle, but they still fight each other. And then King Tonga, or at one point, Tonga gives John Studd this chop so hard that you can see the handprint of King Tonga on Big John Studd's chest. And it was absolutely, like, you could see the hand mark on his chest. And then Tonga, well, actually, after like 5 minutes, 2 referees finally broke it up. And then Tonga went back in the ring, invited Studd back into the ring, and then they fought again, for a couple more minutes, and then Tonga hits a drop kick that sends John Studd out, and Studd's had enough. But that was so good. It was exciting, and it really made you feel like, hey, King Tonga, he may have the better hand, the upper hand on Big John Studd. So now we go one more time to our newcomers series in the videotape. So the first one here is Ted Arcidi, and he faces Terry Gibbs. How about that? Terry Gibbs is on this videotape twice. This is basically all Ted Arcidi. It's a squash match, and it ends with Arcidi locking in the bear hug on Terry Gibbs. Arcidi gets the win. The other match, or the final match in the newcomers series, is Hercules Hernandez going up against Cousin Luke. Yes, from, Wrestling's Country Boys videotape. Yes, his matches ruined that tape. I'm going to stay calm. Now, Freddie Blassie is outside with Hercules Hernandez, and really, Hernandez is just dominating most of this match. And then it takes a turn when Hernandez is on the top rope, misses, Cousin Luke gets an advantage, and Cousin Luke gets a pin on Hernandez, but Freddie Blassie gets up on the apron to distract the referee, which breaks the pin somewhat, and then Hernandez rolls up Cousin Luke, grabs the tights, gets the 3 count, and the victory for Hercules Hernandez. Now we go into the archives of the WWF, as we start off with Adrian Adonis challenging Pedro Morales for the Intercontinental title. Now, this is late in the match. Now, Pedro Morales is in control, but Adonis comes back, with a couple of great offensive moves. And then the end of the match, Adonis hits a German suplex on Pedro Morales. 1, 2, Morales gets his shoulder up, 3. So Adonis thinks that he's won the match. He's the new Intercontinental Champion. But the referee said no. Morales got his shoulder up, gets the 3 count, and stays the Intercontinental Champion. But then you watch the replay of this. Oh my gosh. This is terrible. Because you see Adonis. He hits the German suplex. And you see his one arm is up off the mat. So they show the replay, and it's like, oh, both men's shoulders are on the mat. There's 1, there's 2, and then Morales gets his arm up for the 3. I call bull crap on that. Adonis had his shoulder up when he was holding him. He had a bridge. Oh, man. It's like that bad referee when I reviewed the Wrestling Classic, but that's another story. So we continue going into the archives, and in this match, it's Pat Patterson against Captain Lou Albano. And boy, is this match a quickie. Let me tell you the exact match. Lou Albano tries to get an illegal weapon. Patterson catches him, and he starts hitting Albano over and over and over again on his forehead, causing Albano to bleed. Now, Albano is confused. He's trying to tag somebody out, but there's nobody there. He goes outside of the ring, stands on the apron, and remembers there's no tag team partner, so he goes back in the ring. Patterson keeps punching him over and over again. Albano is just bleeding. Albano finally gives up and leaves. Now, this is where I have a little bit of a problem with the editing. As Albano's leaving, you see the referee and Patterson, they're counting. So they go, 7, 8, and then they leave. So they're basically having you think that, Albano never came back. Well, what if Albano decided to run back into the ring, to beat the 10 count? But trust me, he didn't. Pat Patterson got the win. For the finale of this tape, boy, was this a good choice. Jake the Snake Roberts against Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Now, this is after Roberts hit the DDT on Ricky Steamboat on Saturday night's main event. And this is just a good brawl. Now, what's fun to watch about this match is the referee. He gets involved in this match so many times. And Monsoon is complaining like crazy. He's like, that's not the referee's job to put his hands on a wrestler to get involved. Well, if they're not listening to the rules, how else is the referee going to get them off? Going, excuse me, Mr. Steamboat, can you please get off of Jake Roberts? Oh, and it's so fun to watch. So they go back and forth, and then they go to the outside of the ring. Now, they're close towards the entranceway. If you watch this match real carefully, in the front row, there is a guy who's standing up. And I kid you not, he looked exactly like Hulk Hogan. He had the hairstyle, he had the sunglasses, the mustache, the shirt, the jeans, the boots. So, this Hulk Hogan lookalike, who's probably the closest lookalike to Hulk Hogan, is actually, is there in the front row. And it's so funny because you're thinking, Hulk Hogan is watching this match. So, Jake Roberts eventually bleeds. He gets busted open in this match. And not from a clothesline, by the way. So they bring him back in the ring. Referee gets involved again 2 more times. And then when Roberts has the advantage, Gorilla's like, oh, well, why doesn't the referee put his hands on Roberts? Why doesn't he get involved when Roberts is on the offense? So, eventually Roberts and the referee get a little bit of words. And then Steamboat kicks Roberts, and Roberts goes backwards, knocking down the referee. Referee has enough. He calls for the bell. And they continue fighting. And then a couple wrestlers come out. And then just when you think, you're going to get to see a whole lot more, the credit rolls. Yep, the credits roll. Just when you think it's going to get really good. And that's the end of the best of the WWF Volume 8. Now, what did I think of the tape? Well, despite the bad editing on the last 2 matches, and the somewhat mediocre to bad choices of matches in the newcomer series that they picked, I thought this was a good tape. I mean, the Hart Foundation and Killer Bees is a great start to this videotape. And then you get the King Tonga Big John Studd saga, which, has the match that they have, and then the fight after, which is absolutely great. And then you end it with Jake Roberts and Ricky Steamboat. Basically, it's like a great match sandwich. The Hart Foundation and the Killer Bees are the top bread. Jake Roberts and Ricky Steamboat's the bottom bread. King Tonga and John Studd, is basically, the lunch meat, whatever you want to call it. The ham, the turkey, salami, bologna, whatever you want to call it. And then all the other matches are the toppings. So, despite, like I said, there were a couple of bad moments. The Dan Spivey match, Moondog Rex busted open after a clothesline. Adrian Adonis getting pinned, even though he had a bridge and he had his shoulder up when he shouldn't have been pinned. And the bad editing in the last 2 matches, I can't really complain that much. This was a good tape, a fun one to watch, and if you really want to see great tag team action, like I said, that first match, the Hart Foundation and the Killer Bees alone is worth the videotape. So go get it if you can find it, and trust me, you won't regret buying the best of the WWF Volume 8. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of the Retro Review. Check in later this week when you guys are going to get to pick 2, that's right, 2 videos for me to review. Until next time, so long everybody, and have a happy Mother's Day.